Good afternoon, everyone. Hope everyone's well. We'll kick off with the As Live section, then we'll go into a 10:30 embargo UK tonight. If you've got your headsets, there may be a couple of questions in English and Spanish, so if you need that top of language, please do put your headsets on. If we're all ready, we'll kick off with Alex from the BBC.
Hi, Mikel.
Hi.
A couple of days since the win over Fulham at the weekend, just how pleased with you with that victory and the mentality you showed to get over the line?
Well, very happy, obviously, and especially after international breaks, when you know that you have to again align and regroup everybody, and you could tell that in the first 10 minutes that we were a bit still getting that rhythm. But afterwards, I think watching the game back, that we deserve to win the game. There are things to improve, but we take the win and we move on now for the Champions League match.
And just a question on fitness. Pierre Hincapié trained before the match against Fulham, but wasn't in the squad. Saw him on the pitch earlier. Is he available for tomorrow? Yeah,
he will be available, and I think that game came a bit too early for him, so he had another 2 very good sessions, and now he's ready to go.
Coming up against Diego Simeone tomorrow, even one of the world's best managers. How highly do you rate him?
Well, at the highest level. I mean, I think what he's done since he got to Atletico has been outstanding. Not only what he have achieved, but the way he's done it. I think the identity that he has created to the club, to the team, the spirit, I think they are very simple and clear to identify, and that's because the manager is very much them. And that's extremely difficult to achieve for a short period of time, and to do it for 14 years, I think he's been there now. It's something incredible, so yeah, a pleasure to meet him.
After the match, there was a picture that went around of William Saliba on the team coach, already watching Atletico Madrid. How did that come about, and how pleased you see your players already heading on to the next fixture?
Very pleased, because I didn't encourage it. So it came from them, and that's the most powerful thing, that a game finishes, the job is done, and we've done it, but now, okay, what's next, and what's the next challenge, what's the next opportunity? And we know that it's going to be a really tough one, so the earlier we start to think about it and prepare, the better. So I love that initiative from the players, and it tells you how much they want it, and how focused they are in what is next.
Dharmesh from Sky.
Hi.
You mentioned Diego Simeone there, approaching 14 years. You're approaching 6 years at Arsenal. Do you look at Simeone as maybe an inspiration and maybe something that you'd like to do at this club?
Well, obviously there is someone that I look up to and learn from it in many situations. And what is for me outstanding is his passion. I think for how long he's been in the game and in the same club with the same players, how you still have that handle and that capacity to transmit such an energy and willingness to win. And then, yeah, it's a very tough environment that we live in, and to keep convincing players, you have to be extraordinarily well. I don't know him personally, but everything that I heard about him is that he's so good at doing that. That's the reason, one of the reasons why you are able to sustain at that level.
He's been linked with the Premier League on numerous occasions. Is he someone you'd like to see come to the Premier League?
He's going to get tougher. We have enough and super good managers here, so I don't know. That will be completely up to him. If one day he wants to experience that, what I can say is that what I've seen, and after analyzing the team, how well they are coached.
Just reflecting on your last 3 games in the Premier League, there's 1 point from those 3 games last season. You've got 9 out of 9 this time. What's changed, and what lessons have you learned, not just from those games, but from last season?
Well, we have to obviously get as much information as we can and understand the reasons why we dropped at some points there, and then try to implement them. But to be fair, sometimes from a draw to a win, there are details and things that have to go your way. But it's true that the team shows a different kind of maturity, threat, and probably conviction at this stage, but it's still very early. We have to do it now for another 30 games, and that's going to be the objective.
You say it's very early. The bookies have already made you the favourites for the title. Do you embrace that? And do you think you are the favourites now?
The only thing that I embrace is when I see the team, the energy, the temperature, the commitment, and the quality that they can deliver, that it gives me that conviction that we can go all the way. But that's it. That's just a feeling that the next day you have to prove it, the next training session you have to prove it, and nothing else, and we cannot be busy thinking about those topics.
Thank you.
Simon Standard.
Okay, just on carrying on with Simeone, when you started here, did you look at the way Atletico, how he sort of moulded the club's culture and his image, and you took from that something you wanted to do when you tried to mould the culture here?
No, I think I got that done more through my experiences and my beliefs, and especially my understanding of Arsenal and this football club I am experienced here, because I think to put different contexts to this one is extremely difficult, and at the end I think you have to be authentic to your belief, your way of dealing with people, especially, which is the most important thing when you talk about culture, and slowly, yeah, you have an idea and you have to, after through that, sometimes change a little bit the trajectory to understand what is the best for the club.
I just wanted to ask you one on the defence. Obviously the numbers have been incredible this season. We've seen Gabriel Heinze, who joined in the summer. We see a lot in the warm-ups and working with the defenders, very animated. What's he sort of brought to the defence this season, and what is he like as a coach that he's added to your setup this year?
Well, I think that's something very, very collective with all the coaches, with the players, with their commitments as well. And Gavi added something different, that willingness to will, I think. And now we've seen that obviously through his career, that experience to win and to elevate somebody's level and ambition and drive to the highest limit. And he's extraordinary at that.
Tom, football under.
Mikel, of course, one of your main title rivals the weekend failed to win, Liverpool against Manchester United. Do you ever notice on the training field after one of your main rivals has failed to win that your players perhaps have a bit more of a spring in their step during a training session?
I haven't noticed that, but obviously there is a lot of narrative afterwards. But that's it. I mean, every game in this league, it's a must-win and a very difficult game to win. And we all, I think, very appreciative of that. So you don't get carried away with any of that.
And just on Diego Simeone as well, when you come up against a manager who's been in place for such a long period of time, does that in any way make your preparation for perhaps what you might expect from them easier, or because there's so much data and so much evidence, does that in some ways make it harder to prepare for a game?
Well, on this one, I think the hardest thing is the time that you have, basically a day when you can't really do much to prepare that. Obviously, understanding and the time that we have spent to analyze them and understand that. They have evolved as well for the team that they were probably a year ago to now, and how they can change as well in relation to the context of the match, which is something very specific for this team. And in order to after prepare the best way, yeah, you want to give them everything, but how you're able to simplify the information and make it as concrete, as clear as possible for being in the best position to implement what we want to do tomorrow.
James, ESPN.
Hi, Mikel.
Hi.
Can you just give us an insight into what makes Diego Simeone's team so difficult to play against and break down?
Well, first of all, the willingness to win. You can sense that in every single ball, in every single yard, the way they play. So it's about how they compete, and then after how they play. And I think there are two very different things. And in order to after analyze what they are, yeah, the level of organization is really high. The level of discipline is really high. And then they have acquired a lot of talent throughout the years that are very specific for the needs and the way they want to play, and they are very, very, very good at exploiting those opportunities.
As Garmish said, he's been linked with a move to the Premier League for years. I mean, do you think he could be successful? Do you think what he does in Spain in the Champions League could work in England?
Well, if he works in the Champions League, which is the highest competition in Europe, he can do it anywhere. And I don't know, you have to come here and try it and feel it, but I'm very sure that his know-how is unbelievable, and his character and willingness would take him anywhere, I think.
And just finally for me, obviously the set-piece record improved again at Fulham. Can you just talk a bit about the work that goes into maintaining that threat? Because you've been good at it. It's not a fluke. It's been 2-3 years where new routines come, the unpredictability is always there. Can you just talk a bit about the work that goes into maintaining that over such a long period?
Well, keep evolving and keep improving. It's a system that when you put it in place, the system has to learn every single day, every single game to become better. And And that's in relation to the players that we have and what we learn from ourselves, and as well what we learn from the opposition, and try to be as consistent as possible. And in order to do that, you have to give importance to certain topic to become really important. And we try to do that in the way that we share the time and the focus in game preparation, and then is delivery.
Yes, I'm better now.
I'm Carl. With Gabriel Heinze, you just said before about his willingness to win, and he's obviously won a lot of tasks in his playing career. In the drills, he's often one-on-one with the players before and after the games. What does he kind of bring to the table in terms of the one-on-one scenarios with players?
That experience, I mean, somebody tells you if you do that, you're going to be successful, and you know that he's done it and he's been successful. It's a lot of credibility there.
And how the players react to him? He's obviously a very passionate person. Also, I don't know him much more. You see how the players kind of react.
It's a question for me. My feeling is that they already love him, which is normal. But the rest of the coaches is the same. They are all very different characters, but the relationship and the bond that we have with the players, I think it's unique, and I think that's something very, very powerful in a team.
Okay, I think we'll take a few questions in Spanish now. Spanish in the back?
Yeah.
Sí, yeah.
Mikel, ¿qué tal?
Hola.
Quería preguntarte un poco, traerte un poco hacia el verano de 2024, cuando estaba Mikel Merino entre dos clubes, el Atlético y Arsenal. ¿Cómo conseguís que Mikel al final termine en el Arsenal?
No lo sé, yo puedo hablar de lo que intentamos transmitirle a Mikel, de lo que queríamos hacer, del proyecto, del rol que iba a tener con nosotros, y porque creíamos que para él era un lugar ideal donde se iba a sentir feliz y realizado con las calidades que tiene. Luego los demás, obviamente había rumores de muchos equipos, al final tomó la decisión de venir aquí y nosotros felices.
¿Por ejemplo, le llamaste personalmente para que viniera con vosotros?
Yo siempre intento conocer todo sobre el jugador, no solo eso, sino su entorno también, pero creo que igual que yo, todos los entrenadores. Hola.
Me gustaría preguntarte por Gabriel Magallanes, porque no hay jugador con tantos minutos en esta temporada por Arsenal y dos viajes muy largos para él con Brasil. Llegó, jugó contra Fulham. ¿Qué rol, qué papel también de liderazgo Gabriel tiene hoy?
Bueno, para nosotros es un jugador fundamental, uno de nuestros capitanes, y creo que se lo ha ganado a pulso. Creo que hay un ejemplo muy bueno, aparte de los viajes que hizo y del esfuerzo que hizo para estar el día del Fulham en las mejores condiciones, que empezó el partido sin ser su mejor versión. Y a partir de ahí cómo creció, y eso demuestra madurez, demuestra mucha personalidad, y al final influye en el resultado de una manera muy importante con el cabezazo que pone en el gol de Leo.
Mikel,
Hola.
has hablado bastante en inglés de Simeone, pero quería preguntarte por esos puntos en común y diferencias entre el proyecto que ha creado Simeone en el Atlético de Madrid, convirtiendo en un equipo ganador, y lo mismo que has hecho tú aquí en el Arsenal.
Bueno, no lo sé, porque hay que conocer muchos detalles. La percepción mía es de admiración y el nivel de consistencia a nivel de resultados, de identidad, de trabajo, lo que transmite tanto el club como el equipo durante tantos años, algo de una dificultad tremenda, y me imagino porque él es muy bueno, porque estará rodeado de gente muy buena alrededor, y porque al final ha inculcado dentro del club esa mentalidad que se sostiene en el tiempo.
Hola, Mikel.
Hola.
Llegáis líderes, solo 3 goles encajados en Premier, en Champions también no habéis encajado goles. En toda la temporada habéis perdido una vez contra el Liverpool. No sé si el equipo llega en el mejor momento para acercarse al Atlético.
Bueno, creo que estamos en un momento bueno, pero luego vamos a enfrentarnos a otro rival que nos va a exigir muchísimo, y mañana vamos a tener que demostrar que estamos en el mejor momento. Y al final esto va de lo que viene después. Sabemos el rival que vamos a tener delante, tenemos perfectamente claro lo que queremos hacer y la dificultad de ello, pero el estado emocional del equipo ahora mismo es bueno.
Okay, last two in this section. Firstly, we've got passes.
¿Qué tal, Mikel?
Hola.
Desde Televisión, preguntarte, entendiendo que Atlético Madrid es un colectivo y que tal vez desde el envío anímico cambió a partir del derbi, pero un jugador relevante, y no hay que ser brujo, pero Julián Álvarez, ¿qué nos puede decir un futbolista como Julián Álvarez que está dando un nivel superlativo para aparecer en esta temporada en específico?
Bueno, tiene varios. Has puesto uno en particular que ya hemos visto lo que ha hecho, porque lo teníamos muy cerquita aquí en Manchester hace muy poquito, y lo que ha hecho con la selección está claro. Al final, para competir y para alcanzar el nivel que han alcanzado ellos, a nivel individual necesitas jugadores que marquen la diferencia y ellos tienen varios de esos.
Okay, finally in the as live section.
Mikel,
Hola.
te comentaba el compañero un caso que pasó en 2024 con un jugador como Merino que se decantó por el Arsenal en vez de fichar por un equipo de Madrid. Este verano podríamos tener algo similar con Martín Zubimendi, que llega al Arsenal este verano también, pues pudiendo tener la posibilidad del Real Madrid, que estamos muy interesados en él. Primero, cómo convencer, en el caso de que pasó con Merino, pues cómo convencer a Zubimendi, y después, ¿cómo valoras tú su llegada a la Premier? Porque siempre se habla mucho de la necesidad de adaptación que tiene esta liga, pero parece que Zubimendi estaba hecho para jugar en este Arsenal, y si es la pieza que le faltaba a este equipo para terminar de funcionar.
Bueno, yo creo que más que convencer, al final es transmitirle la idea que tenemos con él, el por qué creemos que es el jugador ideal para nosotros y el contexto que él se va a encontrar. Al final es una decisión muy personal. Creo que el mayor poder que tenemos como club es nuestra historia y lo que transmite. Y a partir de ahí nosotros le tenemos que dar matices para que se imagine una vida alrededor nuestro. Y a Martín lo vi enseguida convencidísimo de que quería venir. Y que se sentía lo que le tratábamos de transmitir, que él se lo sentía. Y luego es verdad lo que has dicho, sobre todo por esa posición, y yo he visto muchos venir durante más de 20 años a esta liga, y es una posición muy difícil donde asentarse, porque no es una cuestión solo de jugar, es una cuestión de rol, de jerarquía, es una posición que requiere muchas cosas, y creo que Zubi lo ha hecho de manera muy rápido, ganándose el respeto de todos y sintiendo esa parte muy cómodo desde muy pronto, cosa que es muy difícil aquí.
Okay, that finishes as live. We'll now go to a few for 10:30 tonight. Kick off with John from the
Hello.
Hi.
You've spoken a lot about Diego Simeone, and we all know what a passionate guy he is. I'm sure you saw what happened at Anfield with the crowds. And I just wonder, on a managerial level, manager to manager, how difficult it must be at sometimes when you're on the touchline not to react, particularly when the crowd's right on top of you. It must be a test.
It is as well, because you are defending your club and your players, and you know that small details can define at the end whether you win a match or no, and we are there living it with high emotions and very difficult to control. And you see sometimes when we get really upset, sometimes really high, we start to run with our players and celebrating goals. I think it's something natural. I think it has to be understood when it's done in a respectful way, as always. And from my experience, I think over the years, try to be a little bit calmer, but there are moments that obviously is not easy.
We know also what a passionate guy you are, as you say, just saying. Is that arguably been one of your toughest challenges to actually, I mean, you're known as being quite sensible on the touchline in the most respectful way, but equally, has that been one of the hardest things about keeping it together?
Yeah, especially the side that it doesn't give you much and it can take things to you or for the team, especially when you react in a way that is not necessarily good. I think we have a responsibility as well to lead with an example, and sometimes I've done it. I've made mistakes on that, so try to learn from there and try to not to do them again.
Dave?
I wanted to talk to you about Simeone. Actually, you mentioned the clear identity that his team have got. I just wonder, in your own words, if you can expand a little bit on what that identity means to you.
Well, if I have to use it in very words, it's the willingness to win, you know, and then after that drives everything. Probably their methodology, the way they live, the way they behave, the way they act in everything, and the purpose that they have, which is at the end to win. And they find a way to do it, and they've changed a lot of players, and they change, and the competition in Spain has increased, and they have two very big clubs, and they've always been there. And that's something that is driven by their mentality and their passion. And after that, yeah, there are specific things in the way, in my opinion, that he sees the game and he tries to encourage his teams to play that are more specific. But the main thing, I think, I would say is that.
I would also say, just listening to you talk about this Atletico team and Simeone, you could almost be talking about your own team. Is that a fair comment? Do you see that parallel between what you're saying about him and what you see with your own team?
I don't know. I don't know from the outside. I'm just looking from my side. I don't have the detail there. Well, they have won as well some major trophies. They've been in Champions League finals. They have made other steps there when it was really important. and which actions I don't. Because the ones that you don't want in the Premier League, in the Champions League, is enough to lose a match or to concede a goal. And then, rely on them and have very good players, very important.